The portal screamed reality apart above the canopy, a wound in space that bled hell's crimson light across green leaves and humid air. For 3 seconds, the jungle fell silent, every animal recognizing something primal, something wrong. Then gravity remembered its purpose, and the Doomslayer crashed through branches and vines like a meteor wrapped in armor and rage. He hit the ground hard enough to crater the earth. Moss and soil exploded outward. The Praetor suit's systems flickered, damage indicators scrolling across his HUD before stabilizing. 87% integrity. Acceptable. The Slayer rose from the impact crater without hesitation, combat shotgun materializing in his hands as his visors scanned the environment. Dense jungle, high heat, elevated CO2 levels. Not hell, not Earth, not anywhere in his dimensional combat database. The Slayer's shoulders rolled once, joints settling after the dimensional tear. His armor, scarred from eons of demon blood and unholy fire, steamed in the jungle humidity. Somewhere in the canopy, something moved, something that watched with technology far beyond the human prey it usually stalked. The Slayer's visor highlighted thermal signatures in the trees. 3. No. 4. Humanoid, but wrong. Too tall, too still, radiating heat patterns that suggested advanced cloaking systems. He'd killed angels and demons, gods and titans. Whatever hunted this jungle would bleed like everything else. The first plasma bolt sizzled past his helmet, superheating the air and scorching a tree trunk behind him. The Slayer's response was instantaneous, combat shotgun thundering as he pivoted, shells ripping through foliage toward the thermal signature. A shimmer in the air, then green blood misting as something massive stumbled from concealment. 7 feet tall, mandibles clicking in surprise, wrist blades extending. The young blood predator had never faced prey that fired back before seeing the hunter. The Slayer was already moving, boots crushing undergrowth as he closed distance with predatory speed that made the Yautja's blood run cold. This wasn't prey behavior. This was something else. If you want to see more characters face different hunters across the multiverse, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them survive in down in the comments below. The hunt never ends. The Predator's combistic extended, a practiced motion honed through years of training on Yautja Prime. It thrust forward with killing precision and met the Slayer's gauntleted fist instead. Metal crumpled. The Slayer's other hand caught the Predator's wrist, twisted, and the distinctive snap of alien bone echoed through the jungle. The mandibles spread wide in a roar of pain and fury as the young blood triggered his wrist blades, slashing at the Slayer's neck. Sparks showered from the Praetor suit's armor plating. The blades, sharp enough to cut through Kevlar and bone, skittered across the blessed metal without purchase. The Slayer's helmet tilted slightly, studying the weapon like a man considering an insect. Then his hand closed around the Predator's throat and lifted the 400-pound warrior off the ground with one arm. The young blood thrashed, plasma caster pivoting on its shoulder mount, targeting laser painting the Slayer's visor. The bolt fired point blank, energy that could melt steel, washing over the Slayer's helmet. His HUD flickered but held. 79% integrity. The Slayer's grip tightened, and the Predator's biomask cracked under the pressure. In orbit above, the clan ship's sensors registered an impossibility. Biosigns terminating. Young blood Tharkun, an unproven warrior but clan-born and trained, dying in less than 30 seconds of engagement. The Huntmaster's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Prey didn't move like that. Prey didn't counter like that. Prey ran. This thing fought like a god. The Slayer slammed the Predator into the ground hard enough to crack chitin armor plating. The young blood's hand scrambled for his self-destruct device, honor demanding he not be taken alive, but the Slayer's boot came down on the wrist. Bones shattered. the predator's dying roar mixed with the distinctive whine of the combat shotgun chambering another shell. The blast took the biomask clean off, revealing mandibles spread in a final defiant hiss. The Slayer studied the face for 1 second, cataloging, analyzing, memorizing this new enemy type, then fired again. Green blood painted the jungle floor. Silence returned, broken only by the hum of the Praetor suit systems and the distant calls of creatures that had fled the violence. The Slayer knelt beside the corpse, gauntleted hands moving with practiced efficiency. The plasma caster on the shoulder mount drew his attention. Self-contained energy weapon, targeting system integrated with the mask. He ripped it free with casual strength that tore mounting brackets designed to hold through atmospheric re-entry. His HUD analyzed the technology. Alien, sophisticated, compatible with modification. The Slayer attached it to his suit's equipment hardpoint, neural interface already beginning to decode the firing mechanism. In 3 seconds, his visor linked to the weapon's targeting system. In 5, he understood how to fire it. The distinctive tri-laser sight painted a tree 50 meters away. The Slayer pulled the trigger through his neural link. Plasma streaked through the jungle and detonated against bark, superheated sap exploding outward. Acceptable. Another tool for the arsenal, another weapon to use against whatever else hunted these trees. Above the canopy, 3 more thermal signatures moved into position. The Slayer's HUD tagged them automatically, flanking patterns, tactical positioning, professional killers preparing an ambush. They'd watched him kill their packmate. They'd seen his strength, his speed, his refusal to run, and they were closing in anyway. The Slayer's hands moved across his weapon array: combat shotgun, plasma rifle, rocket launcher, chainsaw, all functional, all ready. The rage that had driven him through hell's infinite armies thrummed in his blood like a second heartbeat. These hunters thought him prey. They thought this jungle their domain. They would learn what demons had learned across eons of screaming. When the Doomslayer walks, everything else dies. His visor tracked the thermal signatures circling through the trees. Young bloods, the ship's database would have classified them. Unblooded warriors on their first hunt, seeking worthy prey to earn their marks. They'd found something worthy. They'd found something that would send them home in pieces. The Slayer began walking toward the nearest signature, each step deliberate, boots crushing undergrowth with the finality of a closing tomb. Plasma bolts sizzled from the canopy, and he didn't bother dodging. The Praetor suit's shields flared and held. 73% integrity. He returned fire with his newly acquired plasma caster, tracking through leaves with pinpoint accuracy. A roar of pain, then a heavy body crashed through branches to slam wetly against the jungle floor. 2 signatures left. The Slayer smiled behind his helmet, the expression of a man who turned hell itself into his hunting ground. In orbit, the Huntmaster watched biosigns wink out one by one, and for the first time in 40 years of hunting, he felt something the Yautja rarely experienced: concern. The 3 remaining young bloods regrouped in the canopy, mandibles clicking rapid-fire communication that their biomasks translated into tactical coordination. Karth, the pack leader, cycled through vision modes: thermal, electrical, xenomorph-specific, trying to understand what walked below. The prey moved wrong. No fierce scent, no elevated heart rate, no survival hesitation. It advanced with the mechanical certainty of a forerunner construct, but it bled rage into the air like heat from a forge. "Fall back to rally point Gamma," Karth clicked. "We assess, we plan, we..." The tree beside him exploded. Not from plasma fire or explosive, but from the Slayer, launching himself upward with jump jet-assisted leap that covered 30 feet in a single bound. His gauntleted hand punched through the branch Karth stood on, ancient wood disintegrating like rotted pulp. The young blood barely activated his cloaking device before dropping, but the Slayer's visor tracked him anyway. Heat signature, energy emissions, the subtle displacement of light, that perfect camouflage, still couldn't hide from sensors designed to track demons through hell's smoke and fire. The plasma caster fired again. The bolt caught Karth mid-fall, burning through his calf and sending him spinning into the undergrowth. He hit hard, biomask registering compound fracture, shock protocols flooding his system with combat stimulants. The pain receded to manageable levels as he rose, wrist blades extending, comm stick deploying from his back holster. The Slayer dropped from the canopy like judgment given form. No fancy acrobatics, no hunter's grace. Just mass and momentum and the absolute certainty of impact. Karth rolled, comm stick whipping around in an arc that should have disemboweled any prey species. The blade sparked off the Praetor suit's chest plate without penetrating. The Slayer's backhand caught the young blood across the biomask, hard enough to shatter the left vision lens. Warning indicators flooded Karth's HUD. Mask integrity compromised, atmospheric seal broken, targeting system offline. He triggered his plasma caster on manual, the shoulder-mounted weapon pivoting on instinct and training. The bolt took the Slayer in the shoulder at point-blank range, plasma designed to punch through tank armor, washing over blessed metal that had endured hell's fire. The Slayer didn't flinch. His hand shot out, closed around the plasma caster's mounting bracket, and ripped. Metal screamed, organic circuits sparked, and the weapon tore free with brutal efficiency. Karth's roar of fury mixed with pain as the Slayer reversed the weapon and smashed it into the young blood's biomask like a club. Once, twice. The mask cracked completely, revealing mandibles spread in defiant challenge. In that moment, Karth understood. This wasn't prey. This was something that had evolved past the predator-prey dynamic entirely. This was a force of nature given armor and weapons. Something that didn't hunt or flee, but simply killed everything in its path. The young blood triggered his self-destruct device. Honor demanded it. Better to die taking this demon with him than provided with trophies. The Slayer's hand was faster. He caught Karth's wrist, fingers closing like a hydraulic press, and twisted until the self-destruct gauntlet snapped free. The device chirped its activation sequence uselessly on the ground, while the Slayer held the young blood at arm's length, studying him with the dispassionate focus of a biologist examining a specimen. Karth thrashed, wrist blades slashing at the Slayer's arm in increasingly desperate strikes. Sparks showered. The Praetor suit's integrity dropped to 68%. The Slayer's helmet tilted, seemed to consider the weapon, then his free hand caught the blade mid-strike. He pulled, and the entire wrist mechanism tore free from Karth's bracer with the sound of rending metal and flesh. The young blood's scream echoed through the jungle, not from pain alone, but from the violation of watching his honor-earned weapon stripped away by prey. The Slayer examined the wrist blade assembly, then clamped it onto his own vambrace. His suit's adaptation protocols engaged immediately. Neural interface mapping, trigger mechanisms, and extension systems. The blade deployed, retracted, deployed again, smooth as if it had always been part of his arsenal. Karth watched his own weapon appear on the creature's arm, and something broke inside him. Not courage, young bloods were trained past cowardice, but the fundamental understanding of his place in the universe. He was clan-born, trained on Yautja Prime, descended from ancients who had hunted for millennia. And this thing had disarmed him in under a minute. The Slayer's grip shifted to Karth's throat. The young blood's eyes met the visor, saw nothing but green reflection and death, and closed in acceptance of the warrior's end. The combat shotgun's report was deafening at close range. 2 young bloods remained, and they weren't regrouping anymore. They were running, not fleeing. Yautja didn't flee, but executing tactical retreat to report an unprecedented threat. Their cloaking devices activated, signatures disappearing from standard thermal as they move through the canopy with generations of hunting instinct guiding their path. The Slayer's visor tracked them anyway. His newly acquired plasma caster painted targeting lasers through the foliage, and he fired without breaking stride. The first bolt caught a young blood in the spine, burning through cloaking field and chitin armor. The scream was brief. The fall was final. The last young blood, Tharen, youngest of the pack, barely 15 cycles old, stood frozen on a branch 60 meters away. His biomask's translator processed what his eyes witnessed and found no words in any language. The prey walked between the bodies of his pack, collecting weapons with the casual efficiency of a warrior who had done this 10,000 times before. Plasma casters snapped free. Combi sticks folded and attached to armor hardpoints. Smart discs magnetized to hip mounts, each weapon integrated with the strange armor's systems faster than Tharen's training could explain. Technology that had taken Yautja generations to perfect, adapted in seconds by neural systems his mask couldn't analyze. Tharen's hand moved to his biomask's emergency beacon. Clan protocol demanded it. When prey proved too dangerous, when the hunt exceeded expected parameters, summon the elites. His finger found the activation stud. The Slayer looked up. Their eyes met across 60 meters of jungle. Through the biomask's lenses, through the Praetor suit's visor, two warriors acknowledged each other. Tharen had one chance: press the beacon and die, warning the clan, or flee and live as coward. The young blood pressed the button. The plasma bolt took him in the chest before the beacon's first pulse completed. He fell backward off the branch, biomask cracked but still functioning, body broken but mind aware. He hit the jungle floor and couldn't move, combat stimulants fighting systemic shock and losing. Above him, the canopy blurred, green and shadow and the fading light of a sun he'd never see set. Heavy boots approached. The Slayer stood over Tharen, weapons bristling from his armor like a walking arsenal. The young blood's mandibles clicked weakly. Not words, but the death song his mother had taught him for this moment. The acknowledgement that the hunt had ended, that worthy prey had proven worthier. The Slayer knelt, and for a moment, Tharen thought he might be granted the mercy of a quick end. Instead, the armored hand reached for his biomask. Tharen's eyes widened. The mask was sacred. To remove it was to strip a hunter of his identity, his honor, his very self. The Slayer pulled the biomask free with one smooth motion. Tharen gasped at the sudden rush of unfiltered air, his respiratory system struggling with the atmospheric difference. But his eyes focused on the Slayer's visor, and in the green-tinted reflection, he saw his own face, mandibles slack, eyes losing focus. The Slayer studied the biomask, turning it over in his hands. Multi-spectrum vision, targeting integration, environmental adaptation, translation protocols. The technology was elegant, sophisticated, functional. His helmet's HUD mapped the circuits, analyzed the power systems, decoded the interface architecture. Tharen watched the prey, no, the predator, examine Yautja technology with the focused attention of someone who understood weapons at a fundamental level. This thing didn't just kill, it learned, it adapted, it incorporated. The last thing Tharen saw before the darkness took him was the Slayer attaching the biomask to his own helmet systems, cables and connectors extending from the Praetor suit to interface with alien technology. The last thought that crossed his dying mind was a prayer to the ancestors. We hunted a god. Forgive us. The Slayer stood, his HUD now processing inputs from both his own targeting systems and the Predator biomask. Thermal vision overlaid with motion tracking, enhanced by the Praetor suit's demon-killing sensors. His visor highlighted 3 new signatures entering the hunting ground from the north. Larger than the young bloods, moving with disciplined precision, energy readings suggesting heavier weapons and enhanced armor. The emergency beacon's pulse echoed across multiple frequencies. Reinforcements, his tactical subroutines analyzed. Elite hunters responding to prey that killed the pack. The Slayer checked his ammunition. Combat shotgun loaded, plasma rifle charged, rocket launcher armed. His equipment hardpoints carried 4 plasma casters now, 2 combistics, and enough smart discs to start a collection. The wrist blades deployed and retracted smoothly, their weight familiar already. He began walking north toward the signatures, boots crushing young blood corpses without acknowledgement. Behind him, the jungle slowly reclaimed its silence, insects and animals returning to trees painted with green blood and scorch marks. In orbit, the Huntmaster watched the feed from Tharen's dying biomask, watched the prey become predator, watched sacred weapons wielded by something that killed without honor or ritual, or the clean precision of the hunt. He summoned the elites. Not 3, not 5. 8 of the clan's finest warriors, veterans of 100 hunts across a dozen worlds, and he sent one additional message across the quantum link to Yautja Prime. We have found worthy prey. Request ancient Shartuk be awakened from meditation. This hunt required legend. The elites descended on silent anti-grav platforms that warped light around their edges, making the air shimmer like heat haze. They landed in formation, 2x4 diamond pattern, weapons primed, biomasks cycling through combat modes as they assessed the killing ground. 8 of them, each standing over 7.5 feet tall, their armor inscribed with trophies from hunts spanning decades. These weren't young bloods learning the sacred way. These were masters of death who had earned their decorations in xenomorph hives and human war zones and hunting grounds. Most prey never survived long enough to name. Carthan, elite pack leader, studied the carnage with mandibles tight in professional assessment. 5 young bloods, 5 of his clan's future, dead in under an hour. He knelt beside Karth's corpse, examining the wounds with a hunter's eye. Plasma burns from their own weapons, blunt force trauma that spoke of strength beyond human parameters, the dishonor of having his wrist blade torn away and used against his pack. It wears our technology, Carthan clicked, his biomask broadcasting to the pack. Plasma casters, combistics, Tharen's mask. His claw traced the scorch patterns on the ground. It doesn't hide. It doesn't flee. It advances. Uman, one of the elites questioned, thermal vision scanning the jungle. No. Carthan stood, his hand resting on the hilt of his ceremonial war blade. 3 feet of folded alien steel that had taken 100 trophies. Uman run, Uman hide, Uman die making noise and fear stink. He pointed at the trail of destruction leading north, where trees showed plasma scoring and branches hung broken from something heavy passing through. This is something else. The Slayer didn't care about their analysis. He'd walked 3 kilometers through dense jungle in the time it took them to land and assess, his visor tracking their signatures from the moment they entered atmosphere. 8 targets, heavier armor, enhanced weapons, acceptable parameters. He'd killed Hell Knights in greater numbers with worse odds. He stopped in a clearing where ancient trees formed natural walls, their roots breaking through rock and soil to create uneven terrain. Tactical assessment, limited aerial approach, close quarters favored his combat style, multiple cover positions. He set his equipment down with deliberate precision, plasma rifle angled against a root formation, rocket launcher propped within arm's reach, ammunition stockpiles organized by type and accessible within seconds. Then he waited, not with a hunter's patience, studying prey patterns and planning the perfect strike. The Slayer waited like a landmine, motionless, absolute, ready to detonate the instant something triggered his proximity sensors. His HUD showed the 8 signatures approaching, 1 kilometer and closing. They moved well, Flanking patterns, vertical positioning, sound discipline that would have made them invisible to standard prey. The Slayer's targeting systems painted them in red overlay, tracking through trees and terrain, analyzing movement patterns, predicting approach vectors. His hand rested on the chainsaw's grip, the weapon purring softly at his touch like a loyal hound eager for violence. The elites entered the clearing in 2 teams of 4, assault pattern Delta 7 that had killed xenomorph queens and human military platoons. They found the Slayer standing in the center, waiting, weapons holstered, arms at his sides. Carthan's mandibles spread in confusion. Prey didn't stand and wait. Even the most dangerous prey tried to survive. "It offers challenge," Carthan clicked. His honor code demanded acknowledgement. He stepped forward, alone, combi stick extending to full length. "You have killed Clanborn. You wear our technology. You stand instead of flee." The biomask's translator broadcast the clicking speech, unsure if the prey understood language at all. "I am Carthan, elite of the Dark Blade clan. I offer you warrior's death, quick, clean, with honor." The Slayer's response was to draw both wrist blades, the ones he'd torn from Karth's corpse, and settle into combat stance. Not a formal stance from any martial discipline, just the economical positioning of someone who knew exactly how to kill with maximum efficiency. Carthan's mandibles clicked approval. Even without language, the message was clear. Come and try. The elite lunged, combi stick thrusting with speed that blurred even through thermal vision. The Slayer sidestepped, wrist blade catching the weapon's shaft and deflecting it past his shoulder by inches. Carthan reversed the strike, spun the weapon, and brought the other end around in a sweep that should have hamstrung the prey. The Slayer jumped, boots clearing the strike, and came down with both blades descending toward Carthan's shoulders. The elite rolled, combi stick extending into defensive spin that created a barrier of moving metal. The wrist blades sparked off it 3 times in rapid succession, each strike precise and committed, no wasted motion. Carthan had fought opponents fast before, human special forces, rival predators, even a rogue xenomorph queen that moved like liquid death. This was different. This thing didn't just react, it anticipated, moving into positions before Carthan fully committed to attacks. The combi stick's tip grazed the Slayer's helmet, chitin edge scraping across blessed metal. 64% integrity. The Slayer's response was immediate. He caught the combi stick mid-thrust, hand clamping around the shaft, and pulled. Carthan came with it, or lose his weapon, so he lunged into close quarters, where his strength and reach should have been advantage. The Slayer head-butted him, helmet to biomask, metal to reinforced alien polymer. The mask cracked. Carthan's vision flickered, and in that microsecond of disorientation, the Slayer's knee came up into the elite's midsection with enough force to dent armor plating and crack chitin beneath. Carthan staggered back, respect turning to concern, turning to the cold realization that he might have miscalculated. The prey advanced, wrist blades extended, moving with the relentless forward pressure of something that had never retreated in its existence. The elite triggered his plasma caster, targeting laser painting the Slayer's chest. The bolt fired. The Slayer's shoulder-mounted plasma caster, Theren's weapon, fired simultaneously. Both warriors took plasma bolts at close range. Carthan's armor held, dispersion field spreading the energy across his chest plate. The Slayer's Praetor suit absorbed the impact, integrity dropping to 59% but holding. Neither warrior fell. Neither warrior stopped advancing. They met in the center of the clearing like tectonic plates colliding, wrist blades against combi stick, strength against strength, technique against brutal efficiency. The other 7 elites watched with mandibles slack in something approaching awe. Carthan was legendary among the clan. 40 trophies, 12 xenomorph kills, veteran of the Earth Wars, and he was fighting desperately just to stay alive. The Slayer caught the combistic between his wrist blades, twisted, and snapped it. The weapon that had survived atmospheric re-entry and hive acid broke like a twig. Carthan's only reaction was to drop the pieces and trigger his wrist blades, accepting the transition to close-quarters combat that the prey seemed to prefer. They circled for 3 seconds, both warriors bleeding green and red respectively, both calculating the final exchange. Carthan's honor code demanded he face this challenge alone. The prey had stood when it could have ambushed, had waited when it could have fled. That earned single combat, earned the clean death of warrior against warrior. Then the Slayer drew his combat shotgun and fired. The blast took Carthan in the chest at 3 feet, buckshot punching through armor already stressed by plasma impact. The elite staggered, mandibles spreading in shock, not pain, but violation. The prey had accepted the challenge, had fought with honor, had... The Slayer fired again. And again. And again. 4 shots that painted the clearing in green mist and chitin fragments. Carthan fell to his knees, Biomask's systems screaming damage alerts, and looked up at the prey predator thing standing over him. Honor. The translator clicked weakly. The Slayer reloaded. Not with contempt or anger, just the mechanical efficiency of someone maintaining their weapon. He aimed at Carthan's biomask. "You are God," the elite managed through failing systems. The Slayer pulled the trigger. 7 elites stood frozen, every hunting instinct screaming contradictions. Attack to avenge Carthan. Retreat to report impossible threat. Honor demanded justice. Survival demanded caution. Their leader, 8 decades of hunting, dead in under 4 minutes because the prey refused to accept the rules of engagement. One elite, Darmok, raised his plasma caster. The others followed suit. Targeting lasers painted the Slayer's armor in constellation patterns. 7 plasma casters. Synchronized fire, enough energy to vaporize a small building. The Slayer dove behind a root formation as the clearing erupted in plasma fire. Soil superheated into glass. Trees burst into flame. The air itself screamed under the energy assault. He came up firing. His plasma casters answered theirs. His rocket launcher added high explosives to the chaos. His plasma rifle carved molten furrows through ancient wood. This wasn't a hunt anymore. This wasn't sacred ritual or honorable challenge. This was war. And war was something the Doomslayer understood better than any species in the galaxy. He moved through the burning jungle like a force of nature, weapons cycling in orchestrated destruction, his suit systems managing ammunition and power distribution with computer-perfect efficiency. An elite tried to flank. The chainsaw's roar was answer and epitaph. Another dropped from the canopy. The wrist blades opened him from sternum to pelvis before he could trigger cloaking. Plasma bolts and rocket trails carved the darkness into strobing nightmare. Green blood mixed with fire and smoke, and through it all, the Slayer advanced, reloaded, and killed with the mechanical certainty of something that had done this across infinite hell dimensions. Darmok watched 3 more of his pack die and made the decision that would haunt his honor until his death day. He triggered his ship's beacon, not emergency, but retreat. Not because he feared death, but because reporting this threat to the clan mines was worth more than 8 elite trophies. The remaining 3 elites followed him into the canopy, cloaking devices activating, anti-grav platforms engaged, rising above the burning clearing that had become a abattoir. The Slayer tracked them through thermal and enhanced targeting, but didn't pursue. His tactical subroutines analyzed the situation. Ammunition depleted by 40%, suit integrity at 47%, unknown enemy reinforcements likely, terrain unfamiliar, acceptable losses for confirmed kills. He walked through the carnage, collecting weapons from elite corpses with the same methodical efficiency. Better plasma casters with enhanced targeting, ceremonial blades that balanced perfectly, smart discs programmed with sophisticated return patterns. Each addition to his arsenal increased his combat effectiveness by measurable percentages. He found Carthan's warblade, 3 feet of folded alien steel still clutched in the elite's dead hand. The Slayer pried it free, tested the weight, made 2 practice swings that hummed through the burning air. Acceptable melee weapon. He attached it to his back mount, the blade crossing his shoulders like judgment waiting to fall. By the time the fires burned low, the Slayer had integrated enough Predator technology to make himself into something unprecedented. Hell's champion wearing a hunter's arsenal, Earth's demon wielding alien weapons, a walking violation of everything the Yautja considered sacred about the hunt. Above orbit, the clan ship's huntmaster watched the thermal signatures wink out one by one, watched his finest elites retreat from prey, watched centuries of hunting tradition shatter against something that refused to be prey at all. He sent the quantum pulse to Yautja Prime, priority override, ancient awakening protocols. The prey does not understand honor. Send Shartuk before we lose the entire hunting ground. The clan ship hung in geosynchronous orbit like a blade waiting to fall, its hull covered in trophies from 1,000 hunts. Xenomorph carapaces, human military decorations, skulls from species long extinct. Inside, the Huntmaster, Korvan, ancient of the Dark Blade clan, stood before the holographic projection of the hunting ground. His mandibles clicked slow assessment as thermal replays showed the impossible. 8 elites entering combat, 3 retreating, 5 remaining as cooling corpses. "Show me Carthan's death," Korvan commanded. The projection zoomed, focused, replayed the final exchange. Challenge offered, challenge accepted. Blades drawn, then the prey pulling primitive projectile weapon and executing Carthan while he stood in warrior stance. "It does not understand honor," Darmok spoke from behind him, the surviving elite's armor still scorched from plasma fire. "It fights until you die, Master. No ritual, no sacred combat, just..." His mandibles struggled for words. "Killing." Korvan's claw traced the hologram, pausing on the Slayer's visor. His own biomask could read energy signatures, analyze threat levels, predict prey behavior based on centuries of hunting data. What he saw looking at this thing made his thermal regulation system spike. No fear response, no adrenaline surge, no survival instinct overriding combat efficiency. Just constant, absolute, lethal purpose. "The young bloods thought it prey," Korvan clicked. "You thought it warrior. Both were wrong." His hand gestured at the hologram, where the Slayer now moved through the jungle with elite weapons integrated into his armor. "This is something that has transcended predator and prey entirely. This is what kills gods." "Then we glass the hunting ground," Darmok suggested. "Energy weapons from orbit. Cleanse the contamination before..." "Before what?" Korvan's mandibles spread. "Before it escapes to our ship, before it adapts to our technology further, before word spreads that the Dark Blade clan glassed their own sacred hunting ground because prey proved too dangerous." He turned, ancient eyes meeting Darmok's through their biomasks. "No. We follow protocol. We summon the ancient." The quantum message to Yautja Prime took 3 seconds to transmit across light years. The response came in 5. Shartuk awakened. En route. Estimated arrival: 6 hours. 6 hours for the most legendary hunter in 3 centuries to traverse the stars. 6 hours for something that had killed more worthy prey than most elites saw in a lifetime. 6 hours for the ancient who had earned the title Silent Death by hunting a xenomorph queen through her own hive and emerging with her skull while the drones still searched for their mother. 6 hours for the Slayer to make the entire hunting ground his killing field. The Doomslayer didn't wait for the next wave. He moved through the jungle with predatory purpose, his HUD mapping terrain, identifying potential ambush sites, cataloging the alien ecosystem with the same efficiency he'd used in Hell's varied environments. The biomask's enhanced sensors painted the world in layers: thermal, electrical, motion, life sign. Everything that lived, everything that hunted, visible to him now through stolen predator technology. He found their forward outpost 40 minutes after the elite retreat. A camouflage structure built into a massive tree, energy shield shimmering around weapons cache and monitoring equipment. 2 predators guarded it. Lower-rank hunters, neither young blood nor elite, just clan warriors maintaining equipment between hunts. They died before their biomasks registered threat. The Slayer moved through the outpost like systematic destruction given form, cataloging weapons, analyzing technology, determining what served his purpose. More plasma casters, 6 total now mounted on various hardpoints. A combi stick that extended to 8 feet and vibrated at frequencies that could cut through reinforced steel. Smart discs with sophisticated tracking algorithms that his suit's AI could modify. A medicomp that his Praetor suit systems began reverse engineering immediately. And in the center of the outpost, behind triple encrypted security that his neural interface cracked in 40 seconds, a trophy room. Skulls lined the walls, xenomorph drones, human soldiers. Species the Slayer didn't recognize. Insectoid carapaces, crystalline structures, things that might have been silicon-based life. Each skull marked with glyphs, his biomask translated as hunt dates, kill methods, warriors who earned the trophies. The Slayer studied them with the same attention he'd given Hell's archives, understanding enemy culture, assessing threat capability, learning how they thought and fought. The Predators valued combat prowess. They respected dangerous prey. They built their entire civilization around the sacred hunt, around proving worth through killing things that could kill them back. He picked up a xenomorph skull, drone variant, acid-scarred but preserved, and turned it over in his hands. The Predators considered these worthy prey, dangerous enough to earn blooded status, the ultimate test of a young blood's readiness. The Slayer had killed things that would have made xenomorphs flee in terror. He set the skull down and moved to the weapons cache. His HUD highlighted something unusual, a sealed container bearing glyphs his mask translated as Forbidden Hunt. Security protocols layered so thick that even the Predators stationed here couldn't access it without ancient authorization. The Slayer's fist punched through the container's side. Armor designed to withstand plasma fire crumpled like paper. He reached in and pulled out something that made even his tactical subroutines pause in analysis, a self-destruct device, not the standard wrist-mounted honor-suicide mechanism. This was a weapon. Small, portable, powerful enough to vaporize everything in a quarter-mile radius. The glyphs on its casing told a story his mask translated haltingly. Last hunt protocol, when prey becomes predator, when honor demands extinction. They'd brought a nuclear option, not for the hunting ground, for him. The Slayer attached it to his belt, another tool, another weapon. If they wanted to play with existential threats, he'd mastered that game across infinite hell dimensions. His motion sensors pinged, 4 signatures approaching from multiple vectors, moving with the disciplined precision of coordinated hunters. Not rushing, not panicking. Accepting that the outpost was lost and coming to investigate how prey had breached defenses designed to withstand xenomorph assault. The Slayer walked out to meet them. No ambush, no stealth. He stood in the clearing before the outpost, covered in green blood and scorch marks, weapons bristling from every hard point, wearing predator technology like trophies. The 4 hunters stopped at the clearing's edge, their biomasks cycling through vision modes, trying to classify what they saw. Target silhouette matched Uman's roughly. Energy signature was wrong, too high, too concentrated, reading like a power plant compressed into armor-sized package. Weapons array exceeded anything in their database. Combat capability, unknown, default to maximum threat. It wears our sacred trophies. One hunter clicked, his mandibles tight with rage. It desecrates. The Slayer's plasma caster fired. The hunter's head vaporized mid-sentence, biomask and skull fragments raining into undergrowth. The other three scattered, cloaking devices activating, executing dispersal pattern Omega-3 designed to confuse prey that relied on single target tracking. The Slayer's HUD tracked all three simultaneously. Thermal from the biomask, motion tracking from his suit, electrical signatures from Praetor suit sensors. The Predator's cloaking technology, designed to be invisible to most prey, just made them shimmer against his multi-spectrum vision. He drew the elite war blade from his back mount in one hand, chainsaw in the other, and charged the nearest thermal signature. The Predator saw him coming, impossible to miss, and triggered his combi stick, extending the weapon to full length and setting stance to receive charge. The stick's edge was monomolecular, capable of cutting through combat armor and bone with equal ease. The Predator had killed 17 worthy prey with this weapon, earned 3 xenomorph skulls, survived hunts that killed his packmates. The Slayer hit him like a freight train possessed by demons. The combi stick's thrust met the Warblade's deflection, metal screaming against alien steel. The chainsaw came around in horizontal arc that gave the Predator 2 choices: block or dodge. He blocked, bringing his wrist blades up to catch the spinning teeth. The chainsaw teeth chewed through the wrist blades in 3 seconds, sparks showering as sacred weapons, earned through blood and honor, shattered like cheap metal. The Predator's roar of disbelief became gargle as the chainsaw continued through his throat and out the other side. Green blood misted. The Predator's body stood for 1 second, biomask still processing what happened, then collapsed in pieces. 2 signatures remained, and they weren't attacking anymore. They were calling for backup, their biomasks broadcasting emergency frequencies, honor code abandoned in favor of survival instinct. The prey had become predator. The hunting ground had become death trap. Protocol demanded. The rocket caught the first signature in the back, high explosive reducing predator and tree into expanding fireball. The second signature tried to reach the energy shield generator, to activate outpost defenses, to do anything that might slow this unstoppable thing. The Slayer's boot caught him in the spine, slamming him face first into the control panel. Electricity arced. The Predator spasmed. The Slayer's hand closed around the biomask and ripped it free, taking chunks of the hunter's face with it. The Predator thrashed, respiratory system flooding with atmosphere his lungs couldn't process, and the Slayer held him there, watching with clinical detachment as suffocation did the work. When the body went still, the Slayer examined the outpost's communication array. His HUD translated the emergency broadcasts, quantum entanglement allowing faster-than-light transmission to the clan ship. They'd sent everything: biomask recordings, threat assessment, tactical analysis, requests for immediate extraction and orbital support. And one message, repeating on loop, priority encoded with ancient authorization codes. Shartuk, we need you now. The prey kills like you. The Slayer's fingers moved across the Predator controls, his neural interface learning their systems, his suit's AI translating alien programming into actionable intelligence. He accessed the communication logs, traced the quantum link, and found what he was looking for: ship's coordinates, orbital position, defense grid specifications, personnel roster. The Huntmaster thought the Slayer didn't understand honor, thought he fought without code or sacred ritual. Wrong on both counts. The Slayer understood honor perfectly. He just operated by different rules. Hell had taught him that true honor wasn't in how you killed, but in never stopping until everything that threatened innocence was dead. These predators hunted for sport, killed for trophies, built their civilization on the sacred hunt, on testing themselves against dangerous prey and taking skulls as proof. The Slayer hunted to end threats, killed to protect, built his legend on absolute, uncompromising, infinite violence against anything that harmed the helpless. Their philosophies were incompatible. One would prove superior. He downloaded the ship's schematics to his HUD, marked the Quantum Link's origin point, and began walking north. Not toward better cover or tactical advantage. North, where his enhanced vision could just barely see the orbital platform's thermal signature against the star field. In 6 hours, their ancient would arrive. In 6 hours, they'd send their legendary silent death to face him. The Slayer would be waiting. Above orbit, Corvan watched the feed cut as the outpost's systems died. Watched thermal signatures that had hunted for decades wink out in minutes. Watched the prey access their systems, learn their technology, turn their sacred tools into instruments of methodical extinction. He's coming for the ship, Darmok realized, mandibles spreading in fear that elites weren't supposed to feel. Master, he's... I know. Corvan's claw tightened on his ceremonial blade. Let him come. Shartuk will meet him in the between space. The hunting ground or the stars, it matters not. His ancient eyes studied the hologram where the Slayer moved through burning jungle, and for the first time in 40 years of hunt mastery, Corvan wondered if they'd made a mistake. Not in hunting this prey, but in assuming they were still the hunters at all. The Slayer reached the extraction point, a clearing where shuttlecraft landed and young bloods boarded for their first hunts, and found it defended by 12 predators. Not young bloods or basic warriors. These carried heavy weapons, plasma repeaters, shoulder-mounted energy cannons, deployable shield generators. The clan ship had committed resources, sacrificing honor for practicality when faced with extinction-level threat. They'd had 2 hours to prepare. Fortifications built from prefabricated components, overlapping fields of fire, motion sensors covering every approach vector, energy shields creating choke points that forced attackers into kill zones. Tactical excellence refined through centuries of hunting warfare. The Slayer studied their positions through his enhanced vision, his HUD mapping fields of fire, identifying weak points, calculating probability curves for various assault vectors. Standard approach, 47% casualty risk. Flanking maneuver, 61%. Direct assault, 93%. He chose direct assault. The Slayer walked out of the jungle at full stride, every weapon system armed, his Praetor suit's shields at maximum. He didn't bother with stealth or tactical positioning. He wanted them to see him coming. Wanted them to understand that fortifications and preparation and superior numbers meant nothing against something that had stormed Hell's Gates 10,000 times. Fire! Someone roared through biomask translation, and the clearing erupted in concentrated plasma fire that would have vaporized an armored battalion. The Slayer's shields flared incandescent, ablating energy across electromagnetic barriers that had withstood Hell's fury. His HUD showed integrity dropping, 87%, 79, 71, but holding. He raised his arms and returned fire with 6 plasma casters simultaneously, his neural interface managing targeting solutions faster than thought. Plasma bolts crossed the clearing in geometric patterns of mutual destruction. A predator's shield overloaded. The follow-up shot took him through the chest. Another tried to reposition. A smart disc bisected him at the waist. The fortifications that should have been advantage became coffins as the Slayer's weapons found angles, exploited gaps, punished every moment of exposure with lethal precision. He reached the first fortification with his shields at 53%. The war blade came off his back in one smooth motion, the ancient predator steel singing through air, and he vaulted the barrier directly into close quarters, where their heavy weapons became liabilities. The chainsaw's roar was answer and question and eulogy all at once. 3 predators died before their biomasks could recalibrate for melee combat. A fourth managed to trigger his wrist blades. The Slayer caught the thrust on his own blades, trophy weapons from Karth, and twisted, snapping alien wrist like dry wood. The combat shotgun's report was punctuation, green blood painting prefabricated walls. "Extraction shuttle, now!" One predator roared into his communicator. "Abort defensive." The Slayer's plasma caster took him mid-sentence, superheated metal and biomatter spraying across his packmates. The survivors broke formation, not fleeing but executing tactical withdrawal, and the Slayer pursued with the relentless forward momentum that had driven him through Hell's infinite armies. He caught two at the clearing's edge, the war blade opening one from shoulder to hip while the chainsaw solved the other's existence. Another tried to activate cloaking. The Slayer's thermal vision tracked him anyway, rocket launcher reducing the problem to expanding fireball and smoking crater. The extraction point's control tower, 40 feet of reinforced structure, housing communication arrays and landing guidance systems, still had 3 predators barricaded inside. They'd sealed the blast doors, activated internal defenses, and were calling for orbital fire support to glass the entire clearing. Better to lose the hunting ground than let the prey reach the ship. The Slayer attached C4 charges to the blast door. Not Predator technology, he'd been carrying human explosives since Hell, reliable and effective across dimensions. The charges beeped their activation sequence. The Predators inside roared defiance through their translators, some prayer to ancestors, or challenge to gods, or final declaration of warrior pride. The explosion opened the tower like a flower made of metal and fire. The Slayer entered through the smoke, weapons raised, and found them waiting in defensive triangle. 3 veterans with decades of hunting experience between them, wrist blades extended, biomasks cycling through combat modes, mandibles spread in final defiance. They charged as one. Coordinated assault pattern perfected through years of pack hunting. The Slayer met them with the absolute certainty of someone who had killed Hell's orchestrated legions. His wrist blades caught the first's attack, Warblade deflected the second's, and his boot drove into the third's midsection hard enough to crack chitin. Close quarters, no room for plasma weapons or complex tactics, just blade work and brutal physics, and the answer to who wanted survival more. The Predators fought with honor and technique and centuries of martial tradition. The Slayer fought like war crimes given purpose. The first Predator's biomask cracked under the Slayer's headbutt, vision failing, but he kept fighting blind, wrist blades slashing patterns that would have killed any normal prey. The Slayer caught one blade, broke it off at the mounting bracket, and drove the fragment through the Predator's throat. The warrior fell still, clicking defiance, green blood pooling, and died having never retreated. The second Predator managed to wound him, wrist blades finding gap in the Praetor suit's neck seal, drawing red human blood for the first time this hunt. The Slayer's response was to catch the Predator's arm, pull him close, and activate the chainsaw. The sound was brief. The result was terminal. The third Predator, last survivor of the extraction point defense, faced the Slayer across 5 feet of blood-slicked floor. His biomask's systems were failing, punctured by combat debris. His wrist blades sparked with electrical damage. His respiratory system labored through cracked chitin armor. The translator clicked weakly, searching for words his language didn't contain. Inevitable. The Slayer reloaded the combat shotgun. Shells clicking into place, pump action chambering around, the sound of finality. All things bleed, the Predator managed, mandibles spreading in what might have been warrior's smile. Even gods. Eventually, something will. The shot interrupted philosophy with physics. Green blood and fragmented biomask painted the communication console. The Slayer holstered the shotgun and moved to the computers, his neural interface already decoding Predator military encryption. Ship's systems, orbital positions, defense protocols, and something interesting, shuttle launch codes. The extraction craft sat on the landing pad, sleek and angular, covered in clan glyphs and trophy marks. Designed for atmospheric insertion and orbital return, weapons systems integrated, cloaking capable. Currently locked with security protocols that required either ancient authorization or... The Slayer's interface cracked the encryption in 30 seconds. Security designed to stop prey from stealing Predator technology, but his Praetor suit's AI had been written by Dr. Samuel Hayden, humanity's greatest genius, to process Hell's demonic corruption. Alien computer systems were afternoon puzzles by comparison. The shuttle's boarding ramp lowered with hydraulic hiss. Interior lights activated, revealing cargo bay, pilot controls, weapon stations. Everything labeled with glyphs, his stolen biomask translated automatically. The Slayer studied the controls, his tactical subroutines analyzing flight systems, navigation, weapons integration. Warning, the ship's AI announced in clicking Predator language. Unauthorized access detected. Huntmaster Corvan notified. Clan protocols require... The Slayer's fist punched through the communication console. Sparks showered. The AI went silent. He moved to the pilot station, hands settling on controls designed for Predator physiology but adaptable enough for human manipulation. His HUD interfaced with the shuttle's systems, neural link establishing connection, and suddenly he understood thrust ratios, atmospheric compensation, orbital insertion vectors. The engines thrummed to life. Anti-gravity generators lifted the craft smoothly off the pad. The Slayer's hands moved across controls with growing confidence, testing responses, learning the machine's capabilities. Not as maneuverable as a Sentinel drone, heavier armor than anything he'd flown in Hell. Weapons systems that could engage orbital platforms or atmospheric targets with equal efficiency. The shuttle rotated slowly, nose pointing up toward the star field where the clan ship hung in orbit like a sword waiting to fall. The Slayer's targeting system locked onto the thermal signature, calculated distance and relative velocity, prepared firing solutions for the moment he reached engagement range. In the clan ship's command center, every alarm screamed simultaneously. Corvan stared at the tactical display where their extraction shuttle, stolen, commandeered, impossible, began atmospheric ascent toward them. The prey hadn't just survived, hadn't just killed their defenders, it was coming to them. All weapons, target the shuttle, Corvan commanded. Destroy it before... Master, Darmok interrupted, his mandibles tight with realization. He's stolen our technology, our weapons, our shuttle. If we destroy it, we violate sacred hunt protocol. We become the dishonorable ones, destroying trophies earned through combat. Corvan's claw hovered over the firing authorization, understanding the trap. If they destroyed the shuttle, they admitted they couldn't stop the prey through honorable combat. Admitted they'd escalated to desperate measures. Admitted essentially that they'd lost the hunt before it concluded. But if they didn't destroy it, the prey would reach their ship, would bring his brutal efficiency into their halls, would hunt them in the spaces they considered sacred. Where is Shartuk? Corvan demanded. 3 hours, came the response. The ancient's ship has just entered the system. He'll... 3 hours. Corvan's mandibles spread in bitter click laughter. The shuttle reaches us in 20 minutes. 20 minutes before that thing boards our ship. He watched the thermal signature climbing, unstoppable, inevitable. Recall all hunters from the surface. Seal the docking bay. Prepare internal defenses. And the shuttle? Corvan's ancient eyes studied the display where their own technology carried death toward them, piloted by something that had turned the sacred hunt into systematic extinction event. We let it dock. We honor the hunt, even if the prey does not, and we pray to the ancestors that Shartuk arrives before our entire clan becomes trophies. The shuttle broke atmosphere with Predator technology, shields shimmering as friction heated the hull to temperatures that would have vaporized lesser craft. The Slayer sat in the pilot's chair, hands steady on controls, HUD showing orbital trajectory, approach vector, docking procedures his interface had extracted from the ship's computer before he punched through it. Behind him in the cargo bay, the bodies of 12 Predator defenders lay stacked with mechanical precision. Not trophies, not honors, just cleared cargo space for weapons and ammunition he'd scavenged from the extraction point. Plasma repeaters, energy cannons, enough firepower to assault a fortified position, enough firepower to take a clan ship. The stars spread before him, no longer distant lights, but tactical positions in three-dimensional space. The clan ship grew larger in the viewport, covered in trophies from 1,000 hunts, bristling with weapons that could glass planets or engage fleets. The Slayer checked his ammunition, combat shotgun loaded, plasma rifle charged, rocket launcher armed. Every weapon system green, Praetor suit integrity at 61% but stable. Stolen Predator technology integrated and functional. He'd assaulted Hell's Titan fortresses with worse odds. This was just another castle to storm, another enemy to kill, another impossible fight that would end the only way the Doomslayer knew, with him still standing and everything else dead. The docking bay's outer doors began to open, protocol greeting a clan shuttle returning from hunt. The Slayer's hand settled on the Warblade's grip, feeling the weight of alien steel that had taken 100 trophies. It was about to take more. The shuttle docked with mechanical precision, maglocks engaging, pressure seals hissing as atmospheres equalized. The Slayer stood at the boarding ramp, weapons primed, watching through his enhanced vision as Predators took defensive positions beyond. 20 signatures, heavy weapons, kill zones established. They'd had exactly 12 minutes to prepare since his atmospheric breach, and they'd used every second. The boarding ramp lowered. Energy bolts immediately converged on the opening, plasma fire designed to catch anything emerging in a crossfire that would reduce armored prey to vapor. The Slayer threw a corpse through first. The young blood's body, recovered from the jungle, useful now, absorbed the initial volley, shields flaring and flesh burning as concentrated fire proved their defensive positioning worked perfectly. Against anything that charged through the door. The Slayer went through the ceiling, his jump jets fired, launching him up and forward through the shuttle's emergency escape hatch. He cleared the kill zone's focus point by 15 feet, came down behind the first defensive line, and opened fire with every weapon simultaneously. Plasma casters painted targeting lasers across Predator backs. The rocket launcher spoke once, high explosive reducing 3 defenders to expanding debris cloud. The Warblade sang as he landed, carving through a warrior who had just realized the prey understood 3-dimensional combat. Chaos erupted. The defensive formation, perfect for ground-level assault, collapsed as the Slayer carved through its rear elements. Predators spun, trying to reorient, trying to bring heavy weapons to bear in close quarters where they became liabilities. A plasma repeater's wide-angle blast caught 2 friendlies as the gunner tracked the Slayer's impossible speed. Wrist blades extended but couldn't reach fast enough. The chainsaw solved problems faster than they could form. The Slayer moved through the docking bay like systematic destruction. His combat efficiency refined through eons, translating perfectly to this new environment. A Predator tried to activate internal defenses, automated turrets descending from ceiling mounts. The Slayer's plasma rifle took out their power coupling before they finished deploying. Another warrior attempted to seal the bulkhead, trapping the Slayer in the bay. The combat shotgun reduced the door controls to sparking wreckage while the Slayer's boot kicked the Predator through the wall plating. Green blood slicked metal floors designed to drain human and xenomorph fluids. Trophy skulls lined the walls, witnesses to clan glory, now watching their collectors die in their own sacred space. The Slayer didn't acknowledge them, didn't care about Predator history or honor, or the violation of bringing violence into their home. He cared about eliminating threats. The rest was just environment. A predator, elite, older, scarred, mandibles clicking rapid combat commands, organized the survivors into fighting withdrawal. They fell back through the ship's corridors in disciplined patterns, laying suppressing fire, using their knowledge of the environment against invading prey. Bulkheads sealed behind them. Emergency shields activated. Internal defenses that had repelled xenomorph boarding actions came online. The Slayer walked through them like they were inconvenient weather. Automated plasma turrets tracked and fired. His shields absorbed damage while he calculated their firing patterns and timing windows. 3 seconds of analysis. Then he was past them, their targeting protocols unable to compensate for prey that moved with computer-precise efficiency. Sealed bulkheads met super shotgun at point-blank range. Reinforced metal giving way to enough kinetic force to crater tank armor. He followed the blood trail, green droplets marking where he'd wounded the elite commander, through corridors lined with trophies and clan history. Xenomorph skulls mounted in positions of honor. Human military decorations taken from soldiers who'd fought to their last breath. Strange alien artifacts from hunts across the galaxy. Each item represented a story, a battle, a warrior proving their worth. The Slayer saw targets, counted defenders, calculated ammunition expenditure against estimated remaining enemies. Everything else was just decoration. The elite commander made his stand in the trophy hall, massive chamber where the clan's greatest kills were displayed under atmospheric lighting that cast everything in blood-red glow. A queen xenomorph's skull dominated the center, massive and terrible, taken by Corvan himself 40 years ago. Around it, 100 lesser trophies spoke of clan legacy stretching back generations. Here, the elite clicked through his damaged biomask, green blood staining his armor. Wrist blades extended despite the hand that hung useless at his side. Here you stop. Here you learn that some prey become predator, but predators always answer. 12 warriors stepped from concealment, not ambush positions, but display alcoves, emerging from behind their own clan's history, like ghosts defending sacred ground. These weren't young bloods or standard hunters. Their armor bore marks of dozens of successful hunts. Their weapons were personalized, adapted, proven through blood, and their mandibles clicked in unison, some battle chant or death prayer or last defiance. The Slayer's response was to switch the combat shotgun to automatic fire mode. The sound in the enclosed space was like hell's drums. Shell casings rained like brass hail, and the predators, warriors who had hunted across star systems, killed xenomorph queens and human special forces, and things from nightmares, died trying to close distance against firepower that didn't care about honor or fair combat. The elite commander made it to within 3 feet before the blast took him. His wrist blades actually touched the Slayer's armor, scraping across blessed metal, and his mandibles spread in what might have been satisfaction. He'd reached the prey, had struck it, however ineffectively, had died in close combat like a warrior should. The Slayer stepped over the corpse without acknowledgement. His HUD showed the ship's layout now, data extracted from the shuttle's computers, updated with internal sensor mapping. Command center, 2 levels up, heavily defended. Engineering, 3 levels down, vulnerable but non-essential. Trophy vaults, adjacent corridor, containing clan's most valued kills, and life support, directly below this chamber, controlling atmosphere for the entire ship. The Slayer punched through the trophy hall floor, not carefully, not with precision cutting, just fist through deck plating reinforced to hold xenomorph remains, metal crumpling under Praetor suit strength. A second punch widened the hole, a third made it large enough for him to drop through into the maintenance corridor below. Predator engineering rushed toward the breach, responding to pressure alarms, finding instead something that had just introduced itself via the most direct route possible. The Slayer's plasma casters fired down the corridor in both directions simultaneously. The engineers, non-combatants by clan tradition, technicians who maintained ships and weapons, died trying to seal bulkheads with emergency protocols. Life support was 50 feet ahead, protected by blast doors and security systems designed to prevent sabotage during boarding actions. The Slayer attached his entire remaining supply of C4 to the door, 8 pounds of high explosive that he'd been saving for targets that required excessive force. He retreated 20 feet, took cover behind a support pillar, and triggered detonation. The explosion rattled the entire ship. Emergency klaxons wailed. Backup power kicked in as primary systems fluctuated. And through the smoke and twisted metal, the Slayer walked into life support's control room. The systems were elegant, Predator technology that could maintain atmosphere for a crew of 200 across months-long hunts. Filter toxins, regulate pressure, control temperature. All managed through holographic interfaces and biometric controls that required Predator physiology to operate. The Slayer started ripping out primary power couplings, not hacking, not clever infiltration, just destroying the infrastructure that made the ship habitable. Sparks showered, coolant lines ruptured, spraying fluorescent green fluid across deck plating. Atmosphere processors went offline with warning chimes, and throughout the ship, oxygen levels began dropping by measurable percentages. In the command center, Korvan watched his life support indicators flash red and understood the tactical reality. The prey hadn't come to fight them ship to ship, hadn't come for honorable combat or to prove itself against clan warriors. It was systematically destroying their ability to function, making the ship uninhabitable, forcing them to fight on timers that grew shorter with every second. "All warriors to life support," Korvan commanded. "Stop him before—" "Master," a technician interrupted, mandibles tight with fear. "Shartuk's ship has entered close orbit. He requests immediate briefing on prey location." Korvan's ancient eyes studied the tactical display where his ship, home to 83 warriors, repository of 2 centuries of clan history, was being systematically dismantled from within by something that killed like a natural disaster given purpose. Oxygen at 87% and falling. Internal defenses offline. Life support critical. And somewhere in his ship's guts, the prey was still moving, still killing, still refusing to die despite everything they'd thrown at it. "Tell Shartuk," Korvan clicked slowly, "that if he wants his legendary hunt, he should board immediately. We have perhaps 20 minutes of breathable atmosphere remaining. Then this becomes tomb, not hunting ground." The ancient ship maneuvered alongside a sleeker vessel built for solo hunting, and the docking clamps engaged with definitive metallic thunk. Shartuk was coming. The silent death. The hunter who had earned more trophies than any living Yautja, who had killed a xenomorph queen in her own hive while drones searched for their mother's killer, who had tracked and eliminated a bad blood clan single-handedly across 3 star systems. The Slayer felt the new ship dock through the deck plating's vibration. His HUD registered it as potential extraction point or enemy reinforcement. Didn't matter which. He pulled another power coupling free, watched more systems fail, and continued toward his next objective, the ship's armory. They'd stored weapons there, technology, equipment for hunters across generations. He would take all of it. Behind him, throughout the corridors he'd already cleared, Predator bodies cooled in vacuum-sealed sections. Ahead, more warriors rushed to defend sacred spaces, and boarding from the Ancient's ship, one legendary hunter who had killed enough worthy prey to fill a vault twice this size. The Slayer checked his ammunition, 43% on plasma weapons, 61% on ballistic rocket launcher down to final 2 shots, and kept walking. Numbers were just information. The violence would continue until nothing remained standing or he did. In hell, they'd called him unstoppable. Here, the Predators would learn the same lesson. Some things don't hunt. Some things are just force vectors pointed at every enemy until none remain. The hunt wasn't sacred. The hunt was just killing with extra steps. Yautja stepped through the airlock into chaos. His biomask immediately registered compromised atmosphere, damaged internal systems, and thermal signatures of 37 cooling predator corpses throughout the ship. His mandibles remained still, no clicks of shock or fear or surprise. Just ancient assessment from a hunter who had seen impossible things and killed them anyway. He stood 7 feet 6 inches, muscular frame carrying weight of over 500 pounds. His armor was minimalist compared to standard Predator gear. No shoulder cannon, no extensive trophy decorations. Just reinforced plating over vital areas, wrist blades that hummed with molecular edge technology, and a combi stick that had taken 73 trophies across a century of hunting. His biomask was ancient, customized, bearing glyphs that translated as silent death walks in old Yautja. Huntmaster. Yautja clicked toward the command center communication, his voice deeper than normal. Predators, roughened by decades of hunts. Prey location. Lower engineering, Corvan responded, his tone carrying respect due to legends. Moving toward the armory. Ancient, it fights unlike anything we've encountered. No honor code, no combat ritual, just killing. Yautja finished, his mandibles spreading in what might have been satisfaction. Good. Honorable prey are boring. They die according to expectations. But prey that refuses rules. His wrist blades extended, molecular edges vibrating at frequencies that could cut through nearly anything. That is worthy hunt. He moved through the ship's corridors with patience that seemed contradictory to the oxygen timer ticking downward. 81% atmosphere remaining. Most predators would rush, would let urgency override tactical discipline. Yautja studied each corpse he passed, reading the wounds like texts, understanding the prey's methods through the evidence it left. Combat shotgun, primitive but effective at close range. Plasma weapons, stolen from young bloods, integrated quickly. Bladed weapons, taken from elites and used with brutal efficiency. Explosive charges, human technology mixed with predator arsenal. And everywhere, evidence of something that didn't hunt but exterminated, moving through the ship like a cleansing fire. Yautja's biomask highlighted a blood trail, red, human variant, leading from life support toward the armory. The prey had been wounded. Not badly. The amount suggested minor damage rather than critical injury. But it proved the prey could bleed. Everything that bleeds can die. That was the first lesson young bloods learned. The second lesson, which many didn't survive long enough to understand, was that some prey bleeds and keeps killing anyway. The Slayer reached the armory door and found it sealed with security protocols that would have stopped standard infiltration. His fist punched through the keypad housing. Sparks showered. The door's emergency release triggered, designed to allow egress during fire or vacuum breach, and the blast panels retracted with hydraulic hiss. The armory was massive, 3 levels of weapon storage containing equipment for a clan's worth of hunters. Plasma casters lined walls in organized rows, each customized for different hunting styles. Combistics stood in honor racks, bearing glyphs of warriors who'd carried them. Smart discs gleamed under preservation lighting. Wrist blades by the dozens, each pair earned through blood. And in sealed vaults, experimental weapons that hadn't been approved for general use. The Slayer began loading equipment with systematic efficiency. Plasma casters attached to every available hardpoint. Combistic strapped to back mounts. Smart discs magnetized to hip storage. Ammunition stockpiles transferred to cargo pouches. His Praetor suit could carry hundreds of pounds without mobility loss. He intended to reach that limit. Taking trophies before the kill. A voice clicked from the armory entrance. Arrogant for prey. Or wise, assuming you know death comes. The Slayer turned, weapons raising, and faced Shartuk for the first time. The ancient stood in the doorway, relaxed stance of someone who had killed enough to never doubt their capabilities. His biomask studied the Slayer with vision modes cycling through analysis, thermal, electrical, structural, finally settling on standard visible spectrum. "You wear our technology like skin," Shartuk observed, mandibles clicking slow assessment. "Plasma casters, wrist blades, biomask, combistics. You've killed 37 of my clan? 38? More?" He took one step into the armory, wrist blades extending. "You fight well for prey." The Slayer's response was to raise his plasma rifle and fire. No conversation, no posturing, just immediate, lethal force. The bolt streaked across the armory, and Shartuk wasn't there anymore. The ancient moved with speed that defied his size. Combat reflex honed through a century of hunts, and the plasma bolt scorched wall plating where he'd stood microseconds before. Shartuk's combistic extended in one fluid motion, the weapon spinning into defensive pattern that deflected the follow-up plasma bolts like rain off stone. He crossed 15 feet in 2 bounds, closing distance before the prey could establish range advantage, and thrust the combistic toward the Slayer's visor with precision that would have skewered most prey through the skull. The Slayer caught the combistic between his wrist blades. Metal screamed. The molecular edge weapons, ancient technology meeting stolen Yautja blades, locked in friction contest that sparked and smoked. Shartuk's mandibles spread in genuine surprise. The prey had reflexes, had strength, had combat instinct that detected attacks before they fully developed. "Good," Shartuk clicked, pulling back, resetting stance. "You are worth the awakening." The Slayer's answer was the chainsaw's roar. He lunged with the spinning teeth leading, forcing Shartuk to dodge rather than block. The ancient rolled, came up with combistic sweeping low to hamstring, but the Slayer's jump cleared the attack. They separated by 10 feet, both warriors reassessing, both understanding this wouldn't be simple execution. Shartuk studied the prey's stance. Wrong for human military, wrong for demon kind, wrong for anything in his experience, but somehow perfectly efficient. Weight balanced, weapons positioned, ready to explode into violence from complete stillness. "What are you?" the ancient clicked, genuine curiosity mixing with combat focus. "Not human, not demon, though you smell of hell's fire. Not AI construct, though you fight with computational precision." The Slayer said nothing. Never did. Communication was for negotiation or information extraction. This was neither. This was just killing that required slightly more effort than usual. "Silent one, then." Shartuk's mandibles clicked amusement. "I've killed silent death of my own title. Now I face prey too focused to waste breath on words." He triggered his wrist computer, and around the armory, hidden weapons systems activated, automated plasma turrets descending from ceiling mounts, energy nets deploying across exit points, hunter-killer drones launching from wall housings. The Slayer's HUD painted them all in target priority. 12 threats, point defense protocols engaging. His body moved before conscious thought finished processing. Plasma rifle taking out turrets in sequence, rocket launcher eliminating drone cluster, wrist blades severing energy net projectors. 3 seconds of choreographed destruction that cleared the automated threats, while his combat awareness tracked Shartuk's position continuously. The ancient used the chaos to attack, combistic thrusting through smoke and debris, following attack vectors the prey couldn't see coming. The tip found gap in Praetor suit armor, slipped between plates at the shoulder joint, and punched through underlay with molecular edge precision. Blood, red, human, welled around the wound. The Slayer's response was instantaneous. He released weapon grip with his left hand, grabbed the combistic embedded in his shoulder, and pulled himself along its length toward Shartuk. The ancient tried to withdraw the weapon, but the prey's grip was absolute, using the blade in his flesh as anchor point to close distance against warrior who excelled at range control. They met in close quarters. The Slayer's damaged shoulder bleeding but functional, wrist blades versus wrist blades, strength versus technique refined through decades. Shartuk's fighting style was economical perfection. No wasted movement, every strike positioned to flow into the next, century of combat experience, reading opponent patterns before they fully formed. The Slayer fought like controlled demolition, massive strikes that forced reactions, creating openings through overwhelming pressure rather than clever feints. When Shartuk blocked high, the Slayer's knee drove into his midsection. When the Ancient dodged, the follow-up attack was already tracking new position. Computer-precise aggression that gave no time for tactical reset. They broke apart, both wounded. Shartuk's armor dented at the ribs, the Slayer's shoulder streaming blood. Around them, the armory bore marks of their exchange. Scorch patterns, impact craters, severed equipment. And in the corridor beyond, more predator warriors gathered, watching their ancient face prey that shouldn't exist. "You don't tire," Shartuk observed, mandibles tight with realization. "Don't slow, don't fear." He pulled a smart disc from his belt, the weapon's edge gleaming. "Are you machine, wrapped in flesh, or flesh that forgot how to be prey?" The Slayer grabbed a plasma caster from the wall rack, attached it to available hard point, neural interface linking in microseconds, added firepower, additional tactical option. Everything else was irrelevant. Shartuk threw the smart disc. The weapon screamed through the air on calculated trajectory, its edge capable of cutting through tank armor. The Slayer's new plasma caster tracked and fired, bolt intercepting the disc mid-flight. Metal superheated and deformed, the smart disc tumbling off course to embed in the wall plating. The Ancient's mandibles spread wide. "You adapt, learn, improve." He triggered his biomask's emergency protocol, broadcast to all nearby warriors. This prey is beyond singular hunt. Pack tactics. Now. 6 predators entered the armory from multiple access points, coordinated assault from warriors who'd hunted together for years. They moved with practiced synchronization, overlapping fields of fire, supporting positions, veteran efficiency. Against standard prey, even dangerous prey, they would have been overwhelming. The Slayer killed 3 before they reached firing positions. The chainsaw took one through the chest cavity. The war blade opened another from groin to sternum. The third died to point-blank combat shotgun, green blood painting sophisticated weapons storage. The remaining 3 scattered. Combat discipline overriding pack tactics, and Shartuk roared frustration at prey that killed like gravity. Inevitable, impersonal, absolute. Enough. The Ancient's combistic extended to full length, both ends activated, weapon becoming staff of death that he spun in patterns too fast for thermal vision to track clearly. "You want everything in this armory? You want to strip my clan of weapons and honor? Then take them from my cooling corpse." Shartuk charged, and the Slayer met him, and for 30 seconds the armory became demonstration of what happens when perfect technique meets perfect violence. The combistic blurred through attack patterns refined across a century. The Slayer's weapons answered with brutal efficiency, learned across eons. Neither gave ground. Neither acknowledged pain. Just 2 forces of nature trying to prove which law of physics took precedence. Blood, green and red, slicked the floor. Armor cracked, weapons sparked, and watching from the corridor, the surviving predators witnessed their ancient, their legend, their silent death, fight to stand still against prey that refused every law of the hunt. The atmospheric alarm chimed. 63% oxygen remaining. The ship was dying around them. And neither warrior seemed to notice or care. The combat broke when Shartuk's combistic finally failed. Not from poor craftsmanship, the weapon had survived 100 hunts, but from sustained impacts against Praetor suit armor that had endured hell's fury. The molecular edge shaft cracked mid-swing, vibration frequencies destabilizing, and the weapon shattered into fragments that rained across the armory floor. Shartuk looked at the broken hilt in his hand, at the weapon that had taken 73 trophies across a century, and his mandibles clicked once. Not in fury or despair, just acknowledgement. Tools fail. Hunters adapt. He dropped the hilt and drew his wrist blades, settling into close quarters stance that spoke of absolute confidence in his remaining arsenal. The Slayer watched this adaptation with the same attention he'd given Hell's demons, learning from their death. Pattern analysis, threat assessment. The Ancient adjusted tactics instantly when circumstances changed, showing flexibility born from genuine combat mastery rather than rigid doctrine. Dangerous, worthy of respect measured in extra caution and overwhelming force. You see, Shartuk clicked, circling now, wrist blades extended. This is what separates Ancient from young blood. They think weapons make the hunter. I know hunter makes weapons irrelevant. His mandibles spread. You've killed 38 of my clan, children mostly. Warriors who knew ritual, but not war. Now you face one who learned that honor codes are beautiful lies we tell young bloods, so they die with dignity. The Slayer's helmet tilted fractionally. Information. The Ancient acknowledged the gap between hunting tradition and survival reality. You understand, Shartuk clicked, reading body language through decades of prey analysis. You see that I hunt because I am weapon, not because I carry them. Your kind, whatever you are same. The armor, the guns, the blades. His claw gestured dismissively. Tools. But the thing inside that refuses to stop, refuses to die, refuses to accept defeat. His wrist blades hummed. That is the real weapon. That is what makes us both predators. The Slayer's response was to holster his plasma rifle and draw the war blade from his back mount. If the Ancient wanted to discuss philosophy through combat, he would answer in the only language that mattered, demonstrated capability. Shartuk's mandibles clicked approval. Yes, we speak truth now, not through translator or words, but through blade and blood. I will show you that honor codes, hunting traditions, sacred rituals, all of it is performance for young bloods. At the Ancient level, there is only question, who wants to survive more? They clashed in the armory's center, war blade against wrist blades, technique against brutal efficiency. But something had changed. Shartuk wasn't fighting like a predator anymore. He'd abandoned the formal patterns, the honorable strikes, the ritual combat moves. He fought dirty, kicked when the Slayer committed to blade work, threw equipment as distractions, used the environment like a weapon. A plasma caster torn from the wall, hurled at the Slayer's head. Dodge or block, both created openings. The Ancient's wrist blade caught the Slayer's arm, drawing blood, but the war blade's return strike carved through Shartuk's shoulder armor. They were both wounded now, both bleeding, both understanding that this would end with one standing and one cooling. I've hunted across 30 star systems. Shartuk clicked between exchanges, his breathing labored now, wounds adding up. Killed xenomorph queens, hunted bad bloods through asteroid fields, taken trophies from species your kind never dreamed existed. Wrist blade thrust, deflected, counter-strike sparking off armor. And you know what I learned? The universe doesn't care about honor. Only survivors write history. The Slayer drove his shoulder into Shartuk's chest, using mass and momentum to slam the Ancient into weapon racks. Metal crumpled. Shartuk's biomask cracked further, but his wrist blades found gaps in the praetor suit, puncturing underlay, drawing blood from wounds that accumulated into concerning volume. Praetor suit integrity, 41%. Blood loss, significant but manageable. Combat effectiveness, declining but operational. The Slayer's hoodie painted warnings in red, but warnings were just information. He'd fought Hell's armies at lower effectiveness. Pain was just another sensory input to root around. "What drives you?" Shartuk demanded, genuinely curious now, even as they tried to kill each other. "Not honor. You strip our technology like scavenger. Not glory. You don't take trophies. Not survival. You could have fled, hidden, waited for rescue." His mandibles spread. "You kill because killing is what you are." "Yes?" The Slayer's answer was to activate the chainsaw with his offhand, while the warblade kept Shartuk occupied. The Ancient saw the play developing, tried to disengage, but the Slayer's blade work had improved through this fight, learning predator techniques, incorporating them, adapting. The warblade trapped Shartuk's wrist blades high, and the chainsaw came around low. Shartuk's roar echoed through the armory as spinning teeth caught his leg, chewing through armor and flesh before he threw himself backward, accepting deep wounds to escape the weapon. He hit the floor hard, biomask flickering, green blood pumping from his leg. Critical damage, mobility compromised, death approaching on timer measured in blood loss and shock. But his mandibles clicked what might have been laughter. "There, yes. That is answer. You kill because you are death given purpose. Like me. Like all true hunters, stripped of pretense." He tried to stand, failed, settled for combat-ready crouch. "Clan teaches young bloods that we hunt for honor, for glory, for tradition. I teach you truth now. Prey predator death thing. We hunt because killing is what separates us from prey. And when we meet something that kills better," his wrist blades extended despite the damage, "we accept that food chain has new apex." The Slayer approached, warblade ready for execution strike. The Ancient had fought well, had adapted tactics, had shown intelligence and flexibility, but the outcome was never in doubt, only the duration. "Wait," Shartuk clicked, his claw raising in gesture that might have been plea or demand. "Before you end me. Grant understanding. Why did you spare none? Young bloods could have fled. Warriors could have surrendered. You gave no quarter, accepted no submission. Why?" The Slayer stopped, warblade still raised. The question was valid. In Hell, demons didn't surrender. They were corruption incarnate, requiring extinction. But the predators were just hunters. Dangerous, yes. Killers, certainly. But not demonic infection or existential threat to innocence. Except they were. The young bloods had hunted humans for sport. The warriors had taken trophies from people defending their colonies. The elites had perfected murder into art form. Every skull in their collections represented someone who'd had family, dreams, life. The predators called it sacred hunt. The Slayer called it murder dressed in ritual's clothing. He didn't say any of this. Couldn't. The Praetor's suit had no external speakers, and he'd long ago stopped wasting breath on words. But Shartuk seemed to read the answer in his stance, in the way the blade remained raised, in the absolute certainty of coming execution. "Ah," the Ancient clicked softly. "You judge us, find us wanting, we hunt for honor. But honor built on killing those weaker makes us no better than demons we claim to rise above." His mandibles spread in bitter understanding. "You are to us what we are to our prey. Superior predator recognizing that current apex must be cooled. Yes?" The Slayer's blade descended. The strike was precise, quick, as close to merciful as he ever got. Shartuk's biomask fell away, revealing the Ancient's face. Mandibles slack, eyes dimming, but something like peace settling across alien features. "Tell Korvan," Shartuk managed as life bled away, "that prey which judges you is no longer prey. It is..." His eyes focused one last time on the Slayer's visor. "Evolution, and evolution always wins." The Ancient went still. The armory fell silent except for atmospheric alarms, 54% oxygen remaining, and the Slayer's steady breathing. He stood over Shartuk's corpse, warblade dripping green blood, and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph. Just the confirmation that another threat had been neutralized. The surviving predators watching from the corridor didn't attack, didn't roar challenge or advance with weapons raised. They stood frozen, every hunting instinct screaming that they'd witnessed something unprecedented. Their ancient, legendary silent death, hunter of hunters, dead at the prey's feet, executed like any other obstacle. One warrior, younger but not young blood, stepped forward. His wrist blades remained retracted. His plasma caster stayed offline. He just stood at the armory threshold and clicked something his biomask translated. "We yield. The hunt is yours. Take your trophies and go." The Slayer studied him through enhanced vision, elevated heart rate, combat stimulants in system, fear response suppressed but present. The warrior meant it. Genuine surrender, not tactical feint. The clan was giving up, accepting defeat, acknowledging new apex. The Slayer turned back to the weapon racks. Continued loading equipment, plasma casters, combistics, smart discs, ammunition stockpiles, everything useful for future combat. The surrender was irrelevant. He'd already decided not to kill them if they didn't attack. Unnecessary expenditure of resources. They'd learned their lesson. "You don't even want our skulls," the warrior clicked, mandibles spread in something between awe and horror. "Not trophies, not honor. You just take what you need and leave?" The Slayer finished loading equipment, his praetor suit now carrying enough predator technology to outfit a hunting party. He walked toward the corridor, toward the docked ancient ship that would serve as his escape route. The predators parted before him, giving space, making no attempt to block his path. In the command center, Corvan watched the prey walk through his ship, carrying their technology, leaving their dead, and he understood something that would haunt his remaining days. They'd never been hunting it. It had been hunting them. They'd just been too honor-bound to realize that their sacred traditions looked like sport killing to something that killed only from necessity. The Slayer reached the docking collar where Shartuk's ship waited. Smaller than the clan vessel, built for solo operations, but space-worthy and armed. His HUD interfaced with its systems, neural link establishing control, and the ship's AI accepted him after brief resistance. Not authorized pilot, but authorized by virtue of killing the previous owner. Predator technology respected strength above protocol. He boarded, sealed the airlock, and the docking clamps disengaged. The atmospheric alarm in the clan ship wailed its final warning. 47% oxygen. Everyone aboard would need to evacuate soon or die. The Slayer's departure was well-timed mercy he hadn't intended. As his stolen ship pulled away, gaining distance for slip space jump, the Slayer looked back once at the massive clan vessel. Trophy skulls still lined its halls, warriors still lived in its corridors. But something had changed. The hunters had learned they could be prey. The apex had been challenged and found wanting. In the command center, Corvan watched the Ancient's ship disappear into slip space, carrying their technology and their lesson toward destinations unknown. He would report this to the Yautja High Council, would tell them that something existed in the universe that killed predators like they killed lesser species, would warn them that honor codes and hunting traditions meant nothing against something that viewed combat as simple problem-solving through lethal force. And somewhere in slip space, surrounded by stolen weapons and alien technology, the Doomslayer plotted coordinates toward the next threat, the next fight, the next impossible odds that would end the same way everything ended when he got involved. With him still standing and everything else silent, the slip space jump dumped the Slayer's stolen ship back into real space 3-star systems away, the Ancient's vessel emerging from dimensional transit with graceful deceleration that spoke of predator engineering sophistication. Alarms immediately screamed, not from the ship but across every frequency. Predator distress beacons, multiple signatures, a hunting ground under assault by something the transmissions classified as extinction-level threat. The Slayer's HUD translated the fragmentary broadcasts. 37 hunters dead. It killed an elite pack. Dishonorable tactics. Requesting immediate evacuation. The messages cut off mid-transmission, replaced by static that suggested violent interruption rather than technical failure. Another ship had responded to the beacon, Predator frigate, heavily armed, approaching the planet's orbit with weapons charged. The Slayer's tactical subroutines analyzed the scenario. Distressed hunters, rescue vessel, unknown threat, multiple variables, insufficient data. But the Predator frigate's approach vector suggested they intended to glass the planet rather than risk whatever killed their warriors. The Slayer had seen that response before. When threats grew too dangerous, when containment failed, powerful militaries defaulted to overwhelming force. UAC had done it on Mars. UNSC did it to Covenant-controlled worlds. Predators, apparently, shared the same pragmatic cowardice. He adjusted his stolen ship's course toward the planet, accelerating past the frigate's intercept trajectory. The Predator vessel's communication systems lit up. Query transmissions, identification protocols, warnings to maintain distance. The Slayer's ship's AI responded with Shartuk's authorization codes, and the transmissions shifted to confusion. Ancient Shartuk is dead. How does his ship? The Slayer cut transmission and continued descent. The planet below was jungle-covered, similar to the hunting ground where he'd first arrived. Thick atmosphere, high humidity, perfect environment for predators to test their young bloods against dangerous prey. His sensors painted multiple thermal signatures on the surface, predator biosigns concentrated in defensive perimeter, surrounded by nothing. No thermal signatures, no electrical readings, no life signs at all beyond the predators themselves. Invisibility technology. The Slayer's HUD cycled through vision modes: thermal, electrical, structural, radiation. Still nothing. Whatever hunted the hunters didn't register on standard sensors. Adaptive camouflage beyond predator sophistication, or something that existed outside normal detection parameters. The stolen ship entered atmosphere with plasma shield flare, heat washing over hull designed for such stress. The Slayer piloted toward the Predator strong point, fortified structure carved into rocky outcropping, surrounded by defensive emplacements. 23 signatures inside, wounded based on thermal patterns, running low on ammunition based on energy readings from their plasma weapons, surrounded and waiting to die. The ship landed with mag-lock engagement 200 meters from the strong point. The boarding ramp lowered. The Slayer descended with weapons ready, scanning jungle that showed no life beyond plants and insects. But something was out there. Something that had killed 14 predators and driven the rest into defensive position. Identify, a biomask broadcast demanded. Plasma caster tracking the Slayer as he approached. That is Ancient Shartuk's ship. How do you... The warrior's mandibles froze as he processed what he saw through his enhanced vision. You, the prey from Dark Blade hunting ground, the one who killed Shartuk, another warrior finished, mandibles clicking disbelief. Killed Carthan and the elites, boarded the clan ship and came here why? A female predator emerged from the strong point, larger than the males, armor decorated with trophies from dozens of hunts. Her mandibles clicked authority. To finish what you started, kill the survivors and complete Dark Blade clan's extinction. The Slayer's sensors pinged, movement in the jungle canopy, 15 meters up, something that made branches sway without appearing in any vision mode. Then another ping, 30 meters to the left, another behind, a dozen signatures that his systems could barely detect, surrounding the strong point and his position. The female predator's biomask followed his sensor sweeps, mandibles spreading in bitter understanding. They're waiting, watching, learning our tactics before they strike again. Her plasma caster rotated, tracking nothing. We've tried everything, thermal vision, electrical sensing, motion tracking. They don't appear until they attack. And when they attack, she gestured at the jungle, where scorch marks and green blood stains told stories of desperate last stands. The Slayer's HUD highlighted the environmental anomalies: displaced air currents, microgravitational distortions, quantum-level fluctuations that suggested something occupying space without presenting traditional matter signatures. Not invisibility, phase shifting, existence slightly offset from normal dimensional space, close enough to interact, but far enough to avoid detection. Hell had things like that. Specters that existed between dimensions, requiring specific weapons to damage. The Slayer's Praetor suit had been upgraded to counter them, dimensional stabilizers that forced phased entities into solid state, making them vulnerable to conventional weapons. He activated the stabilizers. Immediately, the jungle lit up with thermal signatures. 15, 20, 25 contacts surrounding the position. Large predators, bigger than predators, with anatomy suggesting multiple limbs and sensory organs beyond standard biology. They'd been there the entire time, watching from phase-shifted state, waiting for optimal strike moment. The female predator's biomask registered the signatures, mandibles spreading wide. What technology? She cut off as one of the creatures lunged from its phased state into reality, materializing mid-leap with six-limbed horror that carried serrated claws and mandibles that made predator jaws look friendly. The Slayer's plasma rifle answered. 3 bolts in rapid succession, tracking the creature through its phase shift fluctuation, hitting solid mass that squealed and crashed into undergrowth trailing alien blood. Not dead. His sensors tracked its thermal signature crawling away, but wounded enough to reconsider immediate attack. They can be hurt, the female clicked, her own plasma caster firing its signatures the Slayer's technology revealed. They can die, which means they can be hunted. Her mandibles clicked respect. You came to fight them, not us. You saw the distress beacon and came to face worthy prey. The Slayer's response was to begin setting up defensive position. Not for the Predator's benefit, they were just convenient allies against common threat. But the creatures demonstrated intelligence, tactics, pack-hunting sophistication. Eliminating them required fortification and coordinated fire. The Predators had failed because they couldn't see their enemies. Now they could. "I am Zara Thul," the female announced, her tone carrying military efficiency. "Elite commander of the Stonefang clan, these are my hunters." She gestured at the strong point. "We came to this hunting ground expecting xenomorphs or lesser prey. Instead, we found something that exists between spaces, something that hunts us." Her wrist blades extended. "If you help us survive, I swear by the ancestors that Stonefang will not hunt you. You have proven yourself beyond our challenge." The Slayer ignored the oath. Oaths were just words. He set up overlapping fields of fire using commandeered predator weapons, positioned explosives at likely approach vectors, and activated every defensive protocol his Praetor suit could manage. The dimensional stabilizers drained power quickly, couldn't maintain full coverage indefinitely, so timing mattered. The creatures attacked at dusk, when thermal vision became less reliable in cooling jungle. They phased into existence simultaneously from multiple vectors, coordinated assault that demonstrated sophisticated intelligence. 25 phase predators, each 7 feet long, 6-limbed nightmares with chitinous armor and sensory organs that tracked through multiple spectrums. The Slayer's defensive position erupted in coordinated violence. Plasma fire from stolen predator weapons. Explosive charges detonating under phase predator advances. The combat shotgun's thunder mixing with predator plasma casters' sizzle. And beside him, Stonefang warriors who'd been cowering minutes earlier now fought with renewed ferocity, having visible targets restoring their warrior confidence. A phase predator reached the defensive line. its claws raking across the Slayer's armor with force that dropped his integrity to 34%. Serrated edges found gaps, drew blood. The Slayer's response was to grab the creature's limb, pull it close, and introduce it to the chainsaw. Alien screams mixed with mechanical roar as the weapon chewed through chitinous armor into soft internals. Zarathul fought beside him, her combistic carving through phase predators with elite precision, her movements economical and lethal. "They're retreating," she called, biomask tracking signatures falling back into jungle. "We've hurt them enough to..." The jungle exploded with new signatures. Not 25, 50, 100. The phase predator's main force, attracted by the fighting, converging on the strong point with the single-minded purpose of eliminating everything that had killed their scouts. "Ancestors protect." Zarathul's mandibles went slack. "We can't fight that many. Even with your technology, we..." The Slayer switched his plasma rifle to overcharge mode. Not sustainable, would burn out the weapon in 20 shots, but necessary for the next 60 seconds. He fired into the jungle, each bolt supercharged to 3 times standard yield, and phase predators disintegrated under impacts that vaporized everything within blast radius. The Stone Fang warriors rallied, understanding this was extinction moment or survival through absolute violence. They fired everything, plasma casters overheating, combistics thrown with all their strength, self-destruct devices reprogrammed as improvised explosives. The jungle became killing field lit by plasma fire and burning vegetation. But the phase predators kept coming, kept materializing from dimensional offset, kept dying by dozens but replaced by more. Evolution had made them apex predators of this world, capable of hunting anything by existing just outside detection range. They'd never faced something that could force them into solid state and kill them wholesale. The Slayer's dimensional stabilizers began failing, power reserves depleting, 30 seconds of coverage remaining, 20, 15. When they died, the phase predators would return to invisibility and the massacre would resume. "Your ship," Zarathul clicked desperately. "It has weapons, orbital bombardment capabilities, if you target the jungle." The Slayer was already running. Not retreat, tactical repositioning. He sprinted toward the stolen ancient ship, phase predators materializing in his path, dying to plasma fire and warblade, and the simple fact that nothing stopped him when momentum built. He reached the boarding ramp, systems interfacing, weapons coming online. The ship's plasma cannon, designed for orbital strikes against shielded targets, rotated to face the jungle. The Slayer's targeting system painted the entire tree line, calculated firing solution that would glass everything without hitting the strong point, and fired. The blast was apocalyptic. Superheated plasma washed over jungle in expanding wave that vaporized everything organic and melted rock to glass. Phase predators screamed as dimensional offset provided no protection from energy that affected all states of matter simultaneously. The wave expanded, spread, and when it finally dissipated, the jungle for half a kilometer around the strong point was gone. Just smoking glass and scattered fires where ecosystem had been. Silence fell. The Slayer's sensors detected no remaining phase predator signatures, either dead or fled beyond sensor range. Threat neutralized, mission accomplished through overwhelming force. He walked back to the strong point, where Stone Fang warriors stood stunned, watching the destruction with mandibles slack. Zarathul approached slowly, studying the Slayer like one might study natural disaster given tactical purpose. "You glassed them," she clicked softly. "No honor, no ritual, no testing yourself against worthy prey. You just solved the problem." Her mandibles clicked something that might have been laughter or despair. "We would have fought them for days, died honorably taking trophies. You ended them in seconds because fighting fairly was inefficient." The Slayer checked his ammunition, 67% depleted, and began walking back toward the ship. The predators were alive. The threat was eliminated. His business here was finished. "Wait!" Zarathul called. "Stonefang owes blood debt. You saved 23 hunters. Our clan will..." The Slayer kept walking. Debts were just obligations, and he didn't need predator political complications. Above orbit, the rescue frigate was transmitting queries, trying to understand what had caused the plasma detonation. Below, Stonefang warriors would survive and tell stories about the prey that killed like gourds. As the boarding ramp closed, Zarathul's final transmission reached him. "What are you? Really? Not human, not machine, not demon. What killed Shartuk and saved us in the same week?" The Slayer's ship lifted off, anti-gravity generators pushing toward orbit, and he didn't answer because the answer was simple and didn't require communication. A weapon, pointed at every threat, fired until none remained. The stolen ancient ship broke orbit and prepared for slip space jump when the entire Predator armada materialized around him. Not one clan ship, not a small hunting party, 12 capital vessels, each bristling with weapons, each carrying crews of hardened warriors. The High Council's response to Dark Blade's report, overwhelming force to neutralize or capture the prey that had killed Shartuk and 43 clan warriors. Communication channels lit up with demands: surrender, identification, explanation. The Slayer's HUD translated the transmissions. "By order of the High Council, you are commanded to power down weapons and prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in ship destruction and specimen recovery from debris field." Specimen recovery. They still thought him something to study, analyze, potentially replicate. Still categorized him as prey despite everything he'd done. The High Council saw tactical asset or biological curiosity, not the warning Dark Blade had tried to send. Some things transcend your hunting grounds. The Slayer's hands moved across the ancient ship's controls, activating weapons systems, plotting escape vectors, calculating survival probabilities against a dozen capital ships. 7% chance of breaking through their formation. 12% if he used ramming tactics. 21% if he activated the ship's self-destruct and transmitted himself elsewhere simultaneously. The tactical display showed the Armada's formation, textbook Predator naval doctrine, overlapping fields of fire, escape vectors covered, designed to contain and destroy anything short of capital-class warship. They'd brought enough firepower to glass a planet, used it to surround one stolen scout ship. "Final warning," the lead vessel transmitted. "Surrender or be destroyed. You have killed ancients, violated sacred hunting grounds, stolen clan technology. These crimes demand..." The Slayer fired every weapon simultaneously. Plasma cannons, missile racks, energy torpedoes, everything the ancient ship carried, unleashed in coordinated barrage toward the lead capital ship. Not because he expected to win, because surrender wasn't in his programming. The Armada's shields flared, absorbing the assault with power reserves that dwarfed his stolen ship's output. Return fire came immediately. Precise, surgical, targeting his engines and weapons systems rather than killing blows. They wanted him alive, wanted to study, wanted to understand what had killed their silent death. His ship shuddered under impacts. Shields failing, systems critical, hull integrity at 18%. The Armada was professional, coordinated, exactly the sort of overwhelming response that should have ended this encounter in capture or death. The Slayer activated the self-destruct sequence and launched the escape pod simultaneously. The ancient ship's fusion core went critical, expanding fireball that would have vaporized anything in close proximity, and the escape pod's emergency thrusters fired at maximum, blasting through the momentary gap in the Armada's formation. Space combat was about timing. The Armada had committed to capturing intact ship. The explosion forced tactical repositioning. And in that 3-second window, the escape pod's slip space generator activated, emergency system designed for ancient survival if ship was lost, and reality tore open. The Slayer fell through dimensional space, the pod's systems screaming warnings about unshielded transit, about radiation exposure, about the dozen ways emergency slip space killed organic passengers. His Praetor suit's shields protected him from the worst effects, and when real space reasserted itself, he tumbled from the pod's wreckage into atmosphere above an unknown world. Terminal velocity. No controlled descent. Just gravity and metal and the certainty that landing would hurt. He crashed through cloud layer, heat shields failing, spinning toward jungle canopy that rose to meet him like green inevitability. Impact crater. Again. His HUD showed integrity at 9%. Multiple systems offline. Power reserves critical, blood loss significant. Pain receptors screaming data, his tactical subroutines filtered into simple assessment. Alive, damaged, operational. He climbed from the crater as the Armada's signals faded beyond tracking range. They'd lost him in slip space. Would search, certainly. Would eventually find this world. But dimensional transit was imprecise, and he'd bought time measured in days or weeks. The jungle around him was alien, flora that moved without wind, bioluminescent patterns suggesting sentience or sophisticated mimicry, atmosphere heavy with spores that his Praetor suit filtered automatically. And in the distance, thermal signatures. Not human, not predator, something else indigenous to this world. The Slayer checked his remaining weapons. Combat shotgun functional, plasma rifle damaged but repairable. One plasma caster still operational. Less than a quarter of his stolen Predator arsenal survived the escape. Enough to kill with. Enough to survive until he found way off this world. Behind him, the escape pod's wreckage smoked, its emergency beacon broadcasting his location on Predator frequencies. He crushed the transmitter under his boot. No signals, no rescue. Just another hostile environment to survive while hostile species adapted to his presence. In orbit above a distant star system, the Predator High Council convened to assess the encounter. Holographic displays showed the ancient ship's destruction, the escape pod's slip space jump, and projections of the prey's likely survival given its demonstrated resilience. Corvan stood before the council, mandibles tight with barely controlled fury at being summoned to explain his clan's failure. "You let it escape," the matriarch clicked, her ancient voice carrying absolute authority. "You had it surrounded, outnumbered, outgunned, and it escaped anyway." "It chose death over capture," Corvan responded. "Destroyed our ancient ship rather than submit. Such prey, such warrior, deserves respect through..." "It deserves extinction," another council member interrupted. "It has killed 43 of our kind, stolen sacred technology, violated hunting grounds. This thing is bad blood by any definition except that it's not Yautja. We must track it, kill it, ensure no other clan repeats Darkblade's mistakes." "Or," the matriarch clicked slowly, her mandibles spreading in something that might have been fear or respect or both. "We classify this prey as beyond singular hunt. We add it to the forbidden list. We warn all clans, do not engage, do not pursue, do not test yourself against this particular challenge." Silence fell across the council chamber. The forbidden list, species or individuals deemed too dangerous to hunt, regardless of honor considerations, contained only 17 entries across Yautja's millennial history. Adding 18th meant admitting that something in the universe could hunt them better than they hunted it. "The council votes," the matriarch announced. "Add this prey to forbidden list, acknowledge it as superior predator, or commit full armada to tracking and eliminating it regardless of cost. Show clause." Half the council raised clause for the forbidden list. The other half remained still. Mandibles tight with the dishonor of admitting prey transcended them. Stalemate requires matriarch decision. The ancient female clicked. She studied the holographic replay of Shartuk's death, watched the ancient warrior, legendary silent death, executed like any other obstacle. I vote forbidden. Let the clans know this prey is evolution testing us, and we are not ready for the test. On the unknown world, the Doomslayer walked through alien jungle, his Praetor suit's damaged systems slowly regenerating, weapons ready, sensors tracking new threats. The predators would come eventually, would find him, hunt him, test themselves against the prey that killed their ancient, and he would kill them, would take their technology, would use every weapon and tactic at his disposal to survive and eliminate threats. Because that was what he did. What he'd always done, what he would continue doing until every enemy fell silent or he did. The jungle ahead stirred. Something large moved through the undergrowth. Indigenous predator or landed Yautja scout, didn't matter. The Slayer's plasma caster tracked the movement, Warblade settled into ready position, and his helmet's HUD painted targeting solutions. Behind him, the escape pod's wreckage burned itself out. Ahead, unknown dangers waited to test themselves against something that had walked through hell and hunted its masters to extinction. And in orbit across the galaxy, predator clans received High Council directive, designation, forbidden prey, classification. 18 species, unknown threat assessment, extinction level, hunt, status, prohibited last known sighting, classified, identifying characteristics, green armor. Refuses communication, kills without honor or hesitation, survived encounter with ancient Shartuk. Warning, this prey does not hunt, this prey is hunt. Engagement results in clan extinction. Do not pursue, do not engage, do not test. High Council Matriarch. Seal, the Slayer, moved deeper into the jungle, leaving crater and wreckage behind, walking toward whatever fights this world offered with the absolute certainty that he would win or die trying. The predators had learned their lesson, had classified him beyond their hunting traditions, had admitted in their own way that some prey transcended the sacred hunt. But the universe was vast. Other threats existed, other enemies needed killing. Other impossibilities required solving through overwhelming violence applied with surgical precision. Somewhere ahead, something roared challenge into the alien twilight. The Slayer's weapons raised in response, and the hunt continued. The predators called him forbidden prey. The High Council added his designation to lists meant to preserve clans from suicidal challenges. Across 100 hunting grounds, young bloods would be told the story of the prey that killed silent death, that boarded clan ships, that refused to understand honor because it operated by simpler rules. Identify threat, eliminate threat, move to next target. But the Doomslayer didn't know he'd become Yautja legend. Didn't care that entire warrior culture had adjusted its sacred traditions to account for his existence. He walked through hostile jungles on unnamed worlds, fought indigenous predators, scavenged what he needed from crashed vessels and abandoned outposts. Eventually, he would find a way off this planet, would return to his war against hell, against anything that threatened innocence, against the infinite enemies that required his infinite violence. The predators were just another species that had learned what demons already knew. When the Slayer walks, everything else dies or gets out of the way. And in Stonefang's clan halls, Zarathul told warriors about the warrior who fought without honor but saved them anyway. In Darkblade's archives, Korvan recorded the hunt that ended with his clan learning humility. And across Yautja space, ancients who heard the stories understood a fundamental truth. The universe contained things beyond their sacred hunts. Beings that didn't hunt for glory or trophies or tradition. Forces of nature that simply killed whatever needed killing and moved on without ceremony or acknowledgement. The predators could accept this truth or die testing themselves against it. The High Council had chosen wisdom over pride. The clans would respect the forbidden list or learn through extinction why it existed. But somewhere on that jungle world, still injured, still reduced to basic weapons, still surrounded by unknown dangers, the Doomslayer didn't think about predator politics or cultural evolution. He thought about the next target, the next fight, the next impossible odds. And he moved forward because that was what he did. Always forward, always fighting, always standing when everything else fell. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.